Have you ever wondered why some people seem to flourish in the face of challenges, while others shy away from difficulties? Why do some people see failure as a stepping stone, while others view it as a dead end? The answer to these questions lies in something surprisingly simple: mindset. Carol Dweck's groundbreaking book Mindset reveals how your beliefs about your own abilities can shape every aspect of your life, from career success to personal relationships. So, what if the only thing standing between you and your greatest achievements is the way you think? Let's dive into the key insights from Mindset and discover how shifting your perspective could unlock your full potential. Chapter 1: The Mindsets. Imagine standing on the edge of a massive challenge, something that could either make or break you. What's your first thought? Do you believe that success is only possible if you're naturally talented or gifted in that area? Or do you feel that, with enough effort, determination, and learning, you can overcome the challenge even if you're not the most talented person in the room? This is the central question that Carol Dweck explores in Mindset, as she introduces us to two fundamental ways of thinking: the fixed mindset and the growth mindset. These two mindsets dictate not only how we approach challenges, but also how we see ourselves, others, and the world around us. The fixed mindset is built on the belief that our abilities are set in stone. People who operate from this mindset think that they are either born with certain talents, intelligence, or skills, or they aren't. To them, these qualities are fixed and unchangeable. If they're naturally good at something, they excel. But if they face a challenge or something that doesn't come easily, they feel defeated, as if the universe is confirming their limitations. Let's picture a young athlete who has always been praised for his natural talent. From a young age, everyone tells him he's got a gift, he's a born athlete, a star. But one day, he encounters someone who is even better than him. Suddenly, his confidence takes a hit. Instead of pushing himself to improve, the fixed mindset whispers in his ear, "Maybe you're not that talented after all. Why risk looking bad by trying harder and still failing?" He shies away from the challenge, afraid of losing his status as the naturally gifted one. Now, let's look at the other side of the spectrum, the growth mindset. This mindset is based on the belief that talents, intelligence, and skills can be developed. Sure, some people may have natural abilities, but the growth mindset tells us that we can improve, learn, and grow if we put in the effort. People with this mindset see challenges as opportunities, not threats. Every difficulty, every failure, is a chance to get better, to stretch beyond their current capabilities. Think about someone who doesn't have natural talent, but who has a passion for learning. She isn't afraid of failure because she doesn't see failure as a final judgment on her abilities. Instead, she views it as feedback, a way to understand what she can do differently next time. She seeks out challenges, knowing that each one brings her closer to mastering a new skill. With this mindset, there are no limits on how far she can go. Dweck's research shows that these two mindsets aren't just abstract concepts. They have a profound impact on every area of life: school, work, sports, relationships, and even personal identity. People with a fixed mindset spend their time trying to prove themselves, often avoiding risks that might expose their flaws. They don't take criticism well because it threatens their sense of self. If someone tells them they're wrong or that they could improve, they take it as a personal attack. On the other hand, people with a growth mindset embrace feedback. They understand that learning from their mistakes is part of the process. Criticism isn't a reflection of their self-worth. It's valuable information that can help them grow. This mindset not only leads to more success in the long run, but it also creates a deeper sense of fulfillment. After all, when you believe that you can always improve, every failure is just a stepping stone to something greater. Dweck discovered these mindsets by observing how people react to failure and success. In her studies, she found that children who were praised for their intelligence often developed a fixed mindset. They became more focused on maintaining the image of being smart, rather than taking on challenges that might make them seem less capable. When these children faced difficult tasks, they were more likely to give up, believing that they weren't smart enough to succeed. In contrast, children who were praised for their effort developed a growth mindset. They understood that their abilities could improve through hard work and persistence. When faced with a challenge, they were more likely to keep trying, experimenting with new strategies, and learning from their mistakes. Over time, these children became more resilient and performed better than their fixed mindset peers, even if they didn't start out as the most naturally talented. As you can see, these two mindsets create vastly different outcomes. The fixed mindset is all about avoiding challenges to protect a fragile sense of self, while the growth mindset thrives on challenges, seeing them as opportunities to learn and grow. The way you view your abilities, whether you see them as static or as something that can be developed, shapes the entire trajectory of your life. And this isn't just about personal success. Dweck shows us that the mindset we adopt can affect our relationships, our careers, our health, and even how we parent our children. The way we view ourselves and our abilities sets the tone for everything else we do. But the good news is that, while some people might lean toward one mindset or the other, everyone can learn to shift from a fixed to a growth mindset. It's all about how we choose to approach the challenges that come our way. The first chapter of Mindset lays the foundation for everything that follows. By understanding the difference between a fixed and a growth mindset, you start to see how your thoughts influence your actions, and how your actions can either limit or expand your potential. Once you grasp this concept, you begin to recognize the fixed mindset in your own life and start making small shifts toward a growth mindset. The journey to unlocking your full potential begins with this simple, yet profound, realization. Chapter 2. Inside the Mindsets. Now that we've introduced the core concept of fixed versus growth mindsets, let's dive deeper into what happens when these mindsets take hold of our thoughts. Imagine waking up every day with a certain lens through which you view yourself and the world. This lens can either magnify opportunities for growth or limit them, depending on whether you lean toward a fixed or a growth mindset. Dweck takes us inside the mindsets in this chapter, revealing how each one shapes our reactions to challenges, success, failure, and criticism. Imagine you're at work, faced with a difficult task you've never attempted before. If you have a fixed mindset, your first thought might be something along the lines of, "I'm not good at this. I'm going to mess up, and everyone will know I'm not as competent as they thought." You avoid the task or rush through it, doing the bare minimum to get by. In your mind, the task is more of a threat than an opportunity because failing would reveal your limitations. But if you have a growth mindset, the same situation looks completely different. Instead of worrying about whether you'll succeed or fail, your thoughts might sound like this: "I've never done this before, but that's exciting. It's a chance to learn something new. I might not get it right the first time, but I'll improve along the way." You dive into the task with curiosity and determination, ready to face whatever comes your way. Instead of being a threat, the task becomes a puzzle. One that, with enough effort, you can figure out. Dweck explains that these different reactions come down to how we view our abilities. In the fixed mindset, abilities are fixed traits, like eye color or height. If you succeed, it's because you're naturally talented. If you fail, it's because you lack the inherent ability. This belief traps people in a cycle of trying to prove themselves over and over again. They live in constant fear that one mistake, one failure, will reveal that they're not as smart or talented as they thought. For example, imagine a student who's always been praised for being gifted. They ace tests without much effort and enjoy being known as the smart kid. But what happens when they encounter a subject that doesn't come easily to them? Suddenly, the praise they're used to is at risk. If they try hard and still fail, it could mean that they're not as smart as everyone thought. So, instead of embracing the challenge, they might avoid it altogether, drop the class, or make excuses to protect their identity as the smart one. This need to constantly prove oneself can be exhausting. Every task, every challenge becomes a test of worthiness. It's no longer about learning or growing. It's about preserving an image of being competent and capable. People with a fixed mindset often become defensive when faced with criticism, because any critique feels like a personal attack on their abilities. Even if the feedback is constructive, they might reject it out of fear that it will expose their weaknesses. In contrast, the growth mindset frees people from this cycle of proving themselves. If you believe that your abilities can grow and improve, failure doesn't define you. It's simply part of the process. When you approach challenges with a growth mindset, you're not afraid to take risks because you understand that each risk is an opportunity to learn something new. Instead of seeking validation for being smart or talented, you're focused on improving and getting better. Take the example of a musician who's learning a difficult piece. If they have a fixed mindset, they might feel frustrated by every mistake, thinking, "I'm just not good enough to play this." They might give up after a few failed attempts, convinced that they've reached the limit of their abilities. But a musician with a growth mindset sees the mistakes as part of the learning process. Each wrong note is a chance to adjust, to practice, and to improve. They keep going, knowing that persistence and effort will eventually lead to mastery. One of the most interesting aspects of this chapter is how Dweck highlights the subtle ways that a fixed mindset can creep into our lives. It's not always obvious. Sometimes we might think we're just protecting ourselves from failure or embarrassment, but in reality, we're limiting our own potential. The fixed mindset can disguise itself as perfectionism, defensiveness, or even a reluctance to try new things. We might tell ourselves, "I'm just not a math person," or "I'll never be good at public speaking," without realizing that we're closing the door to growth. Dweck also points out that a fixed mindset can be incredibly seductive. After all, it's comforting to believe that our abilities are set in stone. If we're naturally good at something, we can enjoy the praise and admiration that comes with it. But as soon as we hit a roadblock, that comfort turns into fear. Fear of failure, fear of losing our status, fear of being exposed as less capable than we thought. In contrast, the growth mindset, while more challenging, offers a sense of liberation. When you embrace the idea that you can improve and grow, challenges become exciting instead of frightening. You're no longer shackled by the need to prove yourself. Instead, you're free to explore new possibilities, to push yourself beyond your current limits, and to continually expand your abilities. This chapter sets up the core distinction between the two mindsets and how they play out in different aspects of life. It's easy to see how a fixed mindset can hold people back, trapping them in a cycle of avoiding risks and protecting their self-image. But once you begin to adopt a growth mindset, everything changes. Challenges become opportunities, feedback becomes valuable, and failure becomes a stepping stone to future success. Dweck's exploration of these two mindsets is both eye-opening and inspiring. It encourages us to take a hard look at the way we approach our own abilities and potential. Are we limiting ourselves by believing that we're only capable of so much? Or are we embracing the possibility that, with effort and persistence, we can continually improve? The beauty of Dweck's work is that it shows us how to shift from a fixed to a growth mindset. It's not about changing who we are, it's about changing the way we think about who we can become. By understanding the power of our thoughts, we can start to break free from the limitations of the fixed mindset and begin to unlock our true potential. Chapter 3: The Truth About Ability and Accomplishment. Imagine you're watching a group of kids solving puzzles. Some of them finish the puzzles with ease, feeling proud of their accomplishment. Others struggle, make mistakes, and try again until they finally get it right. Now here's the interesting part. When offered the choice to try harder puzzles or stay with the easy ones, the reactions are starkly different. The children who breezed through the puzzles, who were used to being praised for being smart, often choose to stay with the easy puzzles. They want to keep winning, to maintain their image of being capable. But the kids who struggled, the ones who viewed mistakes as part of the learning process, jumped at the chance to try something harder. They weren't afraid of failing. They were eager to learn and grow. This simple experiment reveals a powerful truth about ability and accomplishment, a truth that Carol Dweck dives into in this chapter. Natural talent is often overrated. It's not the inherent ability that leads to long-term success, but rather the attitude and effort we bring to the table. This is a key message in mindset, one that challenges everything we've been taught to believe about success. From an early age, we're often led to believe that success is about being naturally gifted. We idolize the child prodigy, the genius, the athlete who seems to be born with talent. It's easy to think that people are either born with special abilities or they're not, and that these abilities are what determine their success. But Dweck's research reveals a different story. She shows us that raw talent is only part of the equation, and often, it's not even the most important part. Dweck presents compelling evidence that people who are praised for their natural abilities tend to develop a fixed mindset. They start to believe that success comes easily to them because they're inherently talented, and when things get hard, they feel like failures. The result? They shy away from challenges, avoid taking risks, and lose motivation in the face of obstacles. They become so invested in protecting their image of being talented that they miss out on opportunities to learn and grow. Take, for example, the story of John McEnroe, one of the most talented tennis players of his generation. McEnroe had an extraordinary amount of natural ability, and when he won, he was unstoppable. But when things didn't go his way, his fixed mindset came to the surface. He was famous for throwing tantrums on the court, blaming everyone but himself for his failures. Umpires, weather conditions, even the crowd. McEnroe's fixed mindset prevented him from learning from his losses, and as a result, he never reached his full potential as a player. Now contrast that with someone like Michael Jordan, widely regarded as the greatest basketball player of all time. Jordan's talent was undeniable, but what truly set him apart was his growth mindset. Jordan was known for his relentless work ethic and his willingness to learn from failure. When he was cut from his high school basketball team, he didn't give up. He used that failure as motivation to work harder and improve. Throughout his career, Jordan was always looking for ways to get better, even after he had already achieved extraordinary success. His growth mindset allowed him to embrace challenges and continually push himself beyond his limits. Dweck emphasizes that this is the key difference between the fixed and growth mindsets. In the fixed mindset, talent is seen as the ultimate measure of success. People believe that they're either good at something or they're not, and if they encounter difficulty, it's because they lack the necessary talent. In contrast, the growth mindset views talent as just the starting point. While some people may have natural gifts, it's the effort, practice, and perseverance that truly lead to mastery. One of the most fascinating aspects of Dweck's work is her analysis of how these mindsets develop. She explains that our society tends to glorify talent, sending the message that success is something that happens effortlessly for the gifted few. We praise children for being smart or talented, and in doing so, we unknowingly push them toward a fixed mindset. They start to associate their worth with these labels, and they become afraid to take on challenges that might jeopardize their image. Over time, they learn to avoid risks, preferring to stick with tasks they know they can succeed at easily. But Dweck's research also shows that we can shift this mindset by focusing on effort rather than talent. When we praise children, or adults for that matter, for their hard work, their persistence, and their strategies, we encourage a growth mindset. They begin to see challenges as opportunities to improve, and they understand that failure is not a reflection of their abilities, but rather a step in the learning process. This shift in thinking has profound implications, not just for individual success, but for how we approach education, leadership, and even parenting. If we want to foster a culture of growth and development, we need to move away from the idea that talent is the most important factor in success. Instead, we should focus on teaching people to embrace challenges, learn from their mistakes, and keep pushing themselves to improve. Dweck's research also debunks the myth that success should come easily for those who are truly talented. In reality, even the most successful people experience failure and setbacks. The difference is how they respond to those failures. People with a fixed mindset see failure as a personal indictment, a sign that they're not good enough. But people with a growth mindset see failure as a necessary part of the journey toward success. They understand that every mistake is an opportunity to learn and grow. This chapter challenges the deeply ingrained belief that talent is everything. Dweck shows us that while talent can give people a head start, it's not what determines long-term success. What matters more is the willingness to work hard, to persevere through setbacks, and to continuously strive for improvement. The growth mindset is about embracing effort as the path to mastery, rather than relying on natural ability alone. As Dweck continues to build on this concept, she emphasizes that the real power of the growth mindset lies in its ability to unlock potential. When people believe they can improve, they're willing to take on new challenges, experiment with different strategies, and push through failures. They become resilient, adaptable, and capable of achieving more than they ever thought possible. Through compelling examples and scientific evidence, Dweck makes it clear that success is not about being born with certain abilities. It's about cultivating the right mindset, the belief that with effort, anything is possible. This chapter leaves us with an inspiring message. We are not limited by our natural talents, but by our willingness to grow and learn. Tut. Chapter 4. Sports, the mindset of a champion. Let's take a moment to enter the high-stakes world of sports, where glory and defeat often rest on a razor's edge. In this intensely competitive arena, talent is revered, and many athletes, coaches, and fans believe that natural ability is the key to success. But as Carol Dweck reveals in this chapter, even in the world of elite athletes, mindset plays a crucial role in determining who rises to the top and who falls short. Imagine standing on the court with Michael Jordan, or lining up alongside Serena Williams. These athletes are widely considered to be among the best in history, and it's easy to assume that their success comes from an extraordinary level of natural talent. But if you look closer, their stories are about much more than innate ability. Their greatness comes not just from what they were born with, but from how they approached the challenges and setbacks in their careers. This is where the growth mindset shines the brightest. Dweck's research reveals that athletes with a growth mindset are the ones who keep improving over time. They don't rest on their natural talent alone. Instead, they embrace the process of continuous learning, pushing themselves to get better even when they're already at the top of their game. These athletes see every failure, every defeat, as an opportunity to improve. They are driven not by the desire to prove themselves, but by a hunger to keep growing. Let's take a closer look at Michael Jordan's journey. While he's often celebrated for his natural talent, what truly set him apart was his relentless work ethic and his willingness to learn from failure. Early in his career, Jordan wasn't always the best player on the court. In fact, he was famously cut from his high school basketball team. But instead of letting that failure define him, Jordan used it as motivation. He practiced harder than ever, honing his skills and developing the mindset that would later define his career. Jordan wasn't afraid to fail. He embraced it. He famously said, "I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times I've been trusted to take the game-winning shot and missed. I've failed over and over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed." This quote encapsulates the growth mindset perfectly. For Jordan, failure was not something to be avoided or feared. It was a stepping stone on the path to success. Every missed shot, every lost game was an opportunity to learn, adjust, and come back stronger. His greatness came not just from his physical abilities, but from his mental toughness and his unwavering commitment to improvement. Dweck contrasts this with the fixed mindset, which often plagues athletes who are celebrated for their natural talent from a young age. Athletes with a fixed mindset believe that their success is a reflection of their innate abilities, and they fear anything that might challenge that image. When they encounter difficulties, whether it's a losing streak, an injury, or tough competition, they often crumble under the pressure. Instead of seeing these challenges as opportunities to grow, they view them as threats to their identity as talented athletes. One striking example Dweck offers is John McEnroe, one of the most gifted tennis players of his generation. McEnroe's natural talent was undeniable, but his fixed mindset often held him back from reaching his full potential. McEnroe was notorious for his explosive temper on the court. When things didn't go his way, he would blame everyone and everything around him, the umpire, the crowd, the weather. He never looked inward to consider how he might improve. His fixed mindset prevented him from learning from his failures, and as a result, he didn't achieve the level of sustained greatness that he could have. Dweck also highlights the importance of coaches in fostering a growth mindset in athletes. Coaches who focus solely on winning and who praise athletes for their talent alone often create environments where the fixed mindset thrives. These athletes become obsessed with protecting their image as winners, and they shy away from anything that might expose their weaknesses. But coaches who emphasize effort, learning, and resilience help their athletes develop a growth mindset. They teach their players that success is not about being the most talented, but about being the most persistent, the most adaptable, and the most willing to learn from mistakes. Serena Williams provides a powerful example of an athlete who embodies the growth mindset. Williams, like Jordan, is known not just for her physical abilities but for her mental strength and her willingness to improve, even when she's already at the pinnacle of her sport. Throughout her career, Williams has faced numerous challenges, injuries, losses, and personal setbacks, but she has always come back stronger. Her commitment to growth, both on and off the court, has allowed her to remain one of the top players in the world for over 2 decades. Williams' journey shows us that greatness is not about avoiding failure. It's about facing failure head-on and using it as fuel for growth. This is the essence of the growth mindset in sports. It's not the most talented athletes who achieve lasting success, but those who are willing to keep learning, keep pushing, and keep growing. Dweck's research also extends beyond individual athletes to entire teams and organizations. She points to examples of sports teams that have cultivated a growth mindset culture, where players are encouraged to learn from their mistakes and where effort and improvement are valued more than winning at all costs. These teams often outperform those that operate with a fixed mindset, where failure is seen as a personal flaw and where players are afraid to take risks. One such example is the New Zealand All Blacks, one of the most successful rugby teams in history. The All Blacks are known not just for their physical dominance, but for their commitment to continuous improvement. The team has a culture of humility, where even the most experienced players are expected to keep learning and growing. The All Blacks have embraced the growth mindset at every level of their organization, and this has played a key role in their sustained success. This chapter reveals a fundamental truth about sports and about life in general. Success is not just about talent, it's about mindset. Athletes with a growth mindset don't see their abilities as fixed. They see them as something that can be developed over time through effort, learning, and perseverance. This mindset allows them to embrace challenges, learn from failure, and ultimately reach their full potential. But the growth mindset is not just for elite athletes. It's something that can be applied by anyone, at any level of competition. Whether you're a weekend warrior, a high school athlete, or a professional, the growth mindset can help you achieve more than you ever thought possible. It's not about being the most talented person on the field. It's about being the most determined, the most resilient, and the most willing to learn from every experience. As we leave the world of sports and move on to other areas of life, the lessons from this chapter remain clear. Success is not about being perfect. It's about striving for progress, embracing challenges, and learning from failure. This is the mindset of a champion, the mindset that allows us to achieve greatness, not just in sports, but in every area of our lives. We notice that 72% of you who listen to our video are not yet subscribed to the channel. Please help support the channel by hitting the subscribe button and like the video. Thanks for inspiring us to create more content for you. Chapter 5. Business, Mindset and Leadership. Now, let's step out of the world of sports and into the boardroom, where success isn't measured by game-winning shots or championship titles, but by innovation, growth, and leadership. You might think that in the corporate world, the stakes are different, that results are everything, and mindset doesn't matter as long as you deliver. But as Carol Dweck reveals in this chapter, mindset plays an equally critical role in determining who rises to the top and who struggles to keep up. Picture 2 CEOs running competing companies. One leads with a fixed mindset. He believes that intelligence and talent are fixed traits. Either you've got what it takes, or you don't. He surrounds himself with people who praise him, who never challenge his ideas. He's convinced that his success is proof of his inherent genius, and any failure must be someone else's fault. The other CEO leads with a growth mindset. She believes that every setback is an opportunity to learn, that the people around her can grow and improve, and that her role as a leader is to help her team develop and adapt. When her company faces challenges, she doesn't shy away. Instead, she embraces the situation as a chance to innovate and find new solutions. Dweck's research shows that the difference in mindset between these two leaders has profound effects on their company's long-term success. The CEO with the fixed mindset is so focused on protecting his image that he stifles creativity and risk-taking. His employees are afraid to challenge him or suggest new ideas because they know that failure is not tolerated. This creates a culture where people play it safe, where innovation is stifled, and where the company eventually stagnates. In contrast, the CEO with the growth mindset creates an environment where learning and growth are prioritized. Her employees are encouraged to take risks, to experiment, and to learn from their mistakes. This creates a culture of innovation, where people feel safe to explore new ideas and push the company forward. Dweck provides numerous examples of how mindset influences leadership and business success. One of the most striking stories she tells is that of Enron, the infamous energy company that collapsed in one of the largest corporate scandals in history. At its peak, Enron was seen as a symbol of innovation and brilliance. But behind the scenes, a fixed mindset culture was festering. Enron's leaders, including CEO Jeffrey Skilling, believed that their intelligence and talent set them apart from everyone else. They prided themselves on being the smartest people in the room, and they were obsessed with maintaining that image. They hired people based on their perceived brilliance rather than their willingness to learn or collaborate. Failure was seen as a sign of weakness, and employees who didn't deliver immediate results were quickly discarded. This created a toxic environment where people were afraid to admit mistakes or ask for help. Ultimately, this fixed mindset culture contributed to Enron's downfall, as risky and unethical practices went unchecked in the pursuit of maintaining the company's image of success. In stark contrast, Dweck highlights companies that have embraced the growth mindset and seen remarkable success as a result. One of the best examples is Jack Welch, the former CEO of General Electric, GE. Under Welch's leadership, GE became one of the most successful and admired companies in the world. Welch wasn't interested in surrounding himself with yes men or people who would tell him how brilliant he was. Instead, he fostered a growth mindset culture where employees were encouraged to challenge the status quo, take risks, and learn from their mistakes. Welch was famous for his commitment to developing his people. He believed that everyone had the potential to grow and improve, and he invested heavily in leadership development programs to help his employees reach their full potential. Welch understood that a company's success wasn't just about hiring the smartest people. It was about creating an environment where people were empowered to learn, adapt, and innovate. This growth mindset allowed GE to thrive in a rapidly changing business landscape, while other companies that operated with a fixed mindset fell behind. But Dweck's exploration of mindset in the business world isn't just about CEOs and top executives. She shows us that mindset affects every level of an organization, from entry-level employees to middle managers. In a fixed mindset organization, people are often more concerned with proving their worth than with learning and growing. They shy away from new challenges because they fear that failure will reflect poorly on them. They resist feedback because they see it as criticism rather than an opportunity to improve. As a result, these organizations often struggle to innovate and adapt to change. In contrast, organizations that foster a growth mindset culture see failure as a natural part of the learning process. Employees are encouraged to take on new challenges and stretch beyond their current abilities. Feedback is seen as a valuable tool for growth, and people are motivated to continuously improve. This leads to higher levels of engagement, creativity, and long-term success. Dweck also delves into the role of mindset in personal leadership. She explains that leaders with a fixed mindset are often more focused on their own image and status than on helping their team succeed. They may micromanage their employees, refuse to delegate tasks, and take credit for others' successes while blaming them for failures. This type of leadership creates a fear-based environment where people are afraid to take risks or share new ideas. On the other hand, leaders with a growth mindset see their role as helping others grow and succeed. They understand that their success is tied to the success of their team, and they are willing to invest time and energy into developing their people. These leaders provide constructive feedback, encourage their employees to take risks, and create an environment where learning and growth are prioritized. As a result, their teams are more motivated, engaged, and productive. One of the most fascinating aspects of this chapter is how Dweck connects mindset to innovation. In today's fast-paced business world, companies must constantly innovate to stay competitive. But innovation requires a willingness to take risks and experiment with new ideas, something that is nearly impossible in a fixed mindset culture. Dweck explains that in a fixed mindset organization, people are more concerned with maintaining the status quo and avoiding failure than with exploring new possibilities. This leads to stagnation, as employees are afraid to push boundaries or suggest radical ideas. In contrast, a growth mindset culture encourages innovation because it creates a safe space for experimentation. Employees are not punished for failure. Instead, they are encouraged to learn from it and try again. This allows companies to be more agile and adaptable, responding quickly to changes in the market and staying ahead of the competition. Dweck also touches on how companies can cultivate a growth mindset culture. She suggests that leaders focus on creating an environment where effort and learning are valued over results. This means praising employees for their hard work, perseverance, and willingness to take risks, rather than for their intelligence or talent. It also means providing opportunities for employees to develop new skills and take on new challenges, so they can continue to grow and improve. Finally, Dweck emphasizes the importance of leadership in setting the tone for an organization's mindset. Leaders who model a growth mindset by admitting their own mistakes, seeking feedback, and continuously striving to improve, create a culture where learning and growth are prioritized. This, in turn, fosters higher levels of engagement, innovation, and long-term success. As we move through this chapter, the parallels between mindset in business and mindset in other areas of life become clear. Just as athletes with a growth mindset achieve greater success by focusing on effort and improvement, leaders and organizations that embrace a growth mindset are more likely to thrive in the ever-changing business world. The message is simple but profound. Success isn't about being the smartest or the most talented. It's about being willing to learn, grow, and adapt. Chapter 6. Relationships, Mindsets in Love or Not. Imagine a relationship, whether it's a romantic one, a close friendship, or even a family bond, where every conflict feels like an attack, where mistakes aren't just bumps in the road but major catastrophes. Now imagine a different kind of relationship, one where challenges are seen as opportunities to grow closer, where both partners are open to learning from their mistakes and from each other. This contrast lies at the heart of Carol Dweck's exploration of how mindset plays out in our personal relationships. In this chapter, Dweck takes us beyond the realms of school, work, and sports to show how fixed and growth mindsets influence one of the most intimate areas of our lives, our relationships. Relationships, she explains, are not immune to the power of mindset. In fact, the beliefs we hold about love, compatibility, and personal growth deeply affect how we navigate our connections with others. Think about the idea of soulmates. Many people believe that the best relationships are effortless, that two people who are truly meant to be together will fit perfectly from the start. They imagine love as something magical, where conflict is minimal and everything just works out because the partners are right for each other. This is, in many ways, the relationship equivalent of the fixed mindset. People with a fixed mindset about relationships believe that their compatibility with their partner is either there or it's not. If they encounter difficulties, they often interpret it as a sign that the relationship is doomed or that their partner isn't their true match. Every argument, every disagreement becomes a potential deal breaker because in their view, if the relationship were meant to be, these problems wouldn't exist in the first place. As a result, people with a fixed mindset may give up on relationships too quickly, seeing challenges as signs that things won't work out, rather than as opportunities to grow together. Now let's flip the script and look at relationships through the lens of the growth mindset. People with a growth mindset don't expect perfection from their partners or their relationships. They understand that no two people will fit together seamlessly without effort, and that even the strongest relationships require work. These individuals see conflict as a natural part of any close bond, and they approach problems as chances to improve communication, deepen understanding, and strengthen their connection. Instead of seeing arguments as signs of incompatibility, they view them as opportunities to learn more about themselves and their partner. Dweck describes how, in the growth mindset, challenges in a relationship are not threats, they are invitations to grow together. Imagine a couple going through a rough patch. In a fixed mindset, they might think, if we're struggling this much, maybe we're just not right for each other. But in a growth mindset, the thought is more likely, this is hard, but it's a chance for us to learn how to communicate better and understand each other more deeply. Instead of giving up, they roll up their sleeves and put in the effort to make the relationship work. One of the most powerful points Dweck makes is that a growth mindset allows for vulnerability and learning. In a fixed mindset, people often feel the need to be perfect in their relationships. Admitting fault or asking for forgiveness is difficult because it feels like an admission of failure. If your identity is tied to being the perfect partner, acknowledging mistakes can feel like a threat to your self-worth. As a result, people with a fixed mindset might avoid difficult conversations, sweep problems under the rug, or blame their partner for the issues in the relationship. But in a growth mindset, mistakes and imperfections are seen as part of being human. People with this mindset understand that they don't need to be perfect to have a successful relationship. What matters is their willingness to learn, to take responsibility, and to grow from their experiences. This mindset encourages open communication, honesty, and a deeper level of trust, because both partners are committed to growing together, rather than maintaining an illusion of perfection. Dweck's research also highlights how these mindsets play out when relationships end. For someone with a fixed mindset, a breakup can feel like a devastating blow to their identity. If they believe that relationships are about finding the one, and they've failed, it can leave them questioning their worth. They might think, if I couldn't make this work, maybe I'm just not good at relationships. The breakup becomes not just an emotional loss, but a confirmation of their deepest fears about themselves. In contrast, people with a growth mindset view breakups through a different lens. While they may still experience heartbreak, they are more likely to see the end of a relationship as a learning experience. Instead of seeing the breakup as a personal failure, they ask themselves, what can I learn from this? How can I grow from this experience? They understand that relationships are complex, and that growth often comes from the pain of loss. This perspective allows them to heal more effectively and to carry the lessons they've learned into future relationships. Dweck also explores how mindsets can affect parenting and family dynamics. Parents with a fixed mindset might believe that their children's personalities and abilities are set in stone. When their children struggle, they may become frustrated, believing that their kids just aren't good at certain things. These parents may inadvertently send the message that mistakes are unacceptable, that failure is a sign of inherent limitations. This can create a family environment where children feel they need to be perfect in order to be loved and valued. In contrast, parents with a growth mindset focus on effort, learning, and improvement. They encourage their children to take on challenges and view mistakes as opportunities for growth. Instead of focusing on whether their children succeed or fail, they emphasize the importance of trying, learning, and not giving up. This creates a family environment where children feel safe to explore, make mistakes, and develop resilience. Dweck shares a touching story about a mother who had a fixed mindset when it came to her son's intelligence. Her son had always been a top student, but when he hit a rough patch in high school and his grades started to slip, she panicked. She thought, Maybe he's not as smart as I thought he was. Instead of seeing his struggles as part of the normal process of growth, she began to worry that her son's intelligence was fixed and that he had hit his limit. Her anxiety put pressure on her son, making him feel like a failure. Eventually, this mother learned about the growth mindset, and it changed the way she approached her son's education. She began to praise his effort rather than his intelligence and encouraged him to see his struggles as opportunities to learn. Over time, her son's confidence returned, and he started to view challenges as something he could overcome with hard work and persistence. The transformation in their relationship was profound, as they both embraced a more growth-oriented approach to learning and life. This chapter also touches on romantic relationships and how mindsets influence long-term success. People with a fixed mindset often enter relationships with the belief that they or their partner shouldn't have to change. They believe that if the relationship is right, everything will fall into place effortlessly. But as Dweck points out, this is rarely the case. Long-term relationships require growth, adaptation, and the willingness to work through difficult times. In the growth mindset, couples understand that relationships evolve over time and that both partners will need to grow and change together. Instead of expecting perfection, they are committed to supporting each other's growth. This mindset fosters resilience in relationships, allowing couples to navigate challenges and come out stronger on the other side. Dweck's insights into how mindsets affect relationships are incredibly powerful because they reveal how our beliefs about ourselves and others can shape the way we connect with those around us. The fixed mindset, with its emphasis on perfection and unchangeable traits, can create barriers to intimacy, growth, and lasting connection. But the growth mindset opens the door to deeper understanding, empathy, and the possibility of creating stronger, more resilient relationships. As we leave this chapter, we are reminded that relationships, like anything else in life, require effort, learning, and growth. The idea that love should be easy, or that the right person will fit perfectly into our lives without any work is a myth perpetuated by the fixed mindset. But when we approach our relationships with a growth mindset, we understand that challenges are not the end, but the beginning of deeper connection and understanding. Chapter 7. Parents, Teachers, and Coaches. Where do mindsets come from? Imagine a child on their first day of school, filled with excitement and wonder about the world. At that moment, they don't know what they're good or bad at, and they're open to everything, learning, trying new things, making mistakes. But soon, that child starts to hear messages that shape their beliefs about their abilities. From parents, teachers, and coaches, they receive feedback. You're so smart, or you're a natural at this. These well-meaning words seem like praise, but they start planting the seeds of a fixed mindset. What if that child stumbles later? What if the things that once seemed easy become difficult? Suddenly the story they've been told, that they're naturally good at something, feels shaky, and they start to avoid challenges, fearing that failure will expose their limits. In this chapter, Carol Dweck explores the critical role that parents, teachers, and coaches play in shaping a child's mindset. Children aren't born with a fixed or growth mindset. They learn these attitudes from the adults around them. The way we praise children, the way we react to their successes and failures, the expectations we set for them, all of these factors contribute to whether they adopt a fixed or growth mindset. Dweck begins by examining how praise can backfire. You might think that telling a child they're smart would boost their confidence and encourage them to keep excelling, but Dweck's research reveals that this type of praise often leads to a fixed mindset. When children are praised for their intelligence, they start to equate their self-worth with being smart. They believe that their success is a result of their inherent abilities, and this puts pressure on them to always perform perfectly. When they encounter challenges or struggle with something new, they might think, maybe I'm not as smart as I thought. Instead of persevering, they shy away from difficult tasks because they don't want to risk exposing any flaws in their abilities. Take, for example, a young girl who excels at math from an early age. Her teachers and parents praise her, telling her she's a math whiz, a natural talent. For a while, this feels great. She breezes through assignments and enjoys being the top student in her class. But as she advances in school, the math becomes more complex, and for the first time, she struggles. Now, instead of seeing the challenge as an opportunity to learn, she feels panicked. If she tries hard and still fails, it could mean that she's not the math genius everyone believed her to be. So she starts avoiding difficult problems, sticking only to the tasks she knows she can complete with ease. In this way, the fixed mindset has turned a promising student into one who limits her own potential. On the other hand, Dweck's research shows that when children are praised for their effort rather than their inherent abilities, they are more likely to develop a growth mindset. When parents or teachers say, "I'm proud of how hard you worked on that," or "You really stuck with it, even when it got tough," children learn to value effort and persistence over being naturally talented. They understand that success comes from hard work, and that challenges are a natural part of learning. Instead of being afraid of failure, they embrace it as part of the process. Consider a young boy who struggles with reading. His parents notice that he's having a hard time and encourage him, not by telling him he's a great reader, but by acknowledging his effort. "I see how hard you're working on this. Keep going. You're getting better every day." The boy begins to associate success not with being naturally gifted, but with the effort he puts in. Over time, as he works through his difficulties, he improves, and more importantly, he develops a resilience that will serve him throughout his life. This is the power of a growth mindset in action. Dweck explains that the growth mindset doesn't just apply to academic success. It's just as relevant in sports, arts, and any other area where children are learning and developing. Coaches play a critical role in shaping the mindsets of young athletes. A coach who focuses only on winning and praises players for being naturally talented is likely to foster a fixed mindset. These players may perform well initially, but they often crumble under pressure or avoid taking risks that might expose their weaknesses. In contrast, coaches who focus on effort, improvement, and learning from mistakes create an environment where a growth mindset can thrive. Players understand that it's not about being the best all the time. It's about getting better over time. They are encouraged to take risks, try new strategies, and learn from their losses. This not only makes them better athletes, but also helps them develop the mental resilience they'll need in all areas of life. Dweck offers the example of legendary basketball coach John Wooden, who epitomized the growth mindset in his approach to coaching. Wooden didn't measure success by wins and losses alone. He focused on whether his players were putting in their best effort and improving day by day. He believed that the real victory was in the process of becoming better, not just in the final score. As a result, his players developed both as athletes and as individuals, embracing the mindset that growth comes from effort, not just from talent. The chapter also explores how mindset affects the way parents and teachers handle failure. Parents with a fixed mindset might feel anxious when their child struggles or fails, interpreting it as a reflection of their child's, or even their own, abilities. They might rush to fix the problem or make excuses for their child, inadvertently reinforcing the idea that failure is something to be avoided. These parents may praise their children only when they succeed, which teaches them that their worth is tied to their achievements. In contrast, parents with a growth mindset see failure as a valuable teaching tool. When their child struggles, they don't panic. They see it as an opportunity to teach resilience, problem-solving, and persistence. These parents encourage their children to reflect on what they can learn from their mistakes and how they can improve in the future. This approach helps children develop a healthy relationship with failure, understanding that it's not something to be feared, but an essential part of the learning process. Dweck also addresses the importance of mindset in the classroom. Teachers who hold a fixed mindset may unconsciously divide their students into two groups, the smart ones and the struggling ones. They might believe that some students are simply more capable than others and that there's little they can do to change that. These teachers may focus their attention on the students who are already excelling, while giving up on the ones who are falling behind. But teachers with a growth mindset approach their students differently. They believe that every student has the potential to improve, regardless of where they start. These teachers invest time and energy into helping all students grow, providing constructive feedback, encouraging effort, and fostering a classroom culture where mistakes are seen as learning opportunities. In these classrooms, Students are more likely to develop a growth mindset, believing in their own ability to improve with effort and persistence. Dweck shares the story of one teacher who transformed her entire approach after learning about the growth mindset. Initially, she had divided her students into gifted and non-gifted categories, assuming that only the gifted students would succeed. But after learning about Dweck's research, she realized that she had been limiting her students and herself with this fixed mindset. She started encouraging all of her students to take on challenges, praising their effort, and helping them see that they could improve with practice. Over time, even the students who had previously been labeled as non-gifted began to show remarkable progress, proving that a growth mindset can unlock potential in ways that a fixed mindset never could. This chapter is a powerful reminder that the mindsets we foster in children have lasting effects. Whether it's in the classroom, on the sports field, or at home, the messages we send about ability and effort shape the way children view themselves and their potential. Parents, teachers, and coaches have a unique opportunity to help children develop a growth mindset, setting them up for a lifetime of learning, resilience, and success. As we leave this chapter, the takeaway is clear. The most important thing we can teach children is not that they're smart, talented, or gifted, but that they have the power to grow and improve through effort and persistence. With the right mindset, there are no limits to what they can achieve. Chapter 8. Changing Mindsets. So far, we've explored how the fixed and growth mindsets shape every aspect of our lives, from how we approach learning and challenges to the way we navigate relationships, sports, and careers. But now comes the ultimate question. Can we actually change our mindset? Is it possible for someone who has lived with a fixed mindset for most of their life to embrace a growth mindset and experience the transformation that comes with it? Carol Dweck's answer is a resounding yes. In this final chapter, she guides us through the process of shifting from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset, offering practical steps and strategies for making this change. It's not an overnight transformation, but with awareness and effort, anyone can develop a growth mindset and unlock their full potential. Imagine being someone who has spent years avoiding challenges, afraid of failure, and reluctant to step outside of their comfort zone. You might feel trapped, believing that you've reached the limits of your abilities and that there's little room for growth. But Dweck's research shows that it's never too late to change. The first step is to become aware of the fixed mindset voice inside your head, the one that says, "You're not good at this," or "Why even try if you're going to fail?" Recognizing this voice is crucial because it's the key to understanding how deeply ingrained the fixed mindset can be. Dweck introduces the concept of mindset triggers, moments in life that activate our fixed mindset tendencies. These triggers often occur when we face new challenges, receive criticism, or compare ourselves to others. For example, imagine starting a new job where the tasks are unfamiliar and you struggle to keep up with your more experienced colleagues. If you're operating from a fixed mindset, this situation might trigger feelings of inadequacy. You might think, "I'm not cut out for this job," or "I'll never be as good as they are." The fixed mindset tells you that your abilities are limited and that struggling means you're not capable. But once you become aware of these mindset triggers, you can start to challenge them. Dweck encourages us to talk back to the fixed mindset voice, to question its assumptions, and replace it with the growth mindset perspective. When the fixed mindset says, "I'm not good at this," the growth mindset responds, "I'm not good at this yet, but I can improve with time and effort." When the fixed mindset whispers, "Don't try, you might fail," the growth mindset answers, "Failure is part of learning. Every mistake brings me closer to success." This internal dialogue is at the heart of changing your mindset. It's about recognizing when the fixed mindset is holding you back and actively choosing to adopt the growth mindset instead. It's not always easy, especially when the fixed mindset has been your default for so long, but with practice you can start to rewire the way you think. Dweck emphasizes that one of the most important elements of this process is embracing challenges. In a fixed mindset, challenges are seen as threats, risks that could expose your limitations. But in a growth mindset, challenges are opportunities for growth. The more difficult the challenge, the greater the opportunity to learn and improve. Dweck encourages us to seek out challenges, not shy away from them. By putting ourselves in situations where we're likely to struggle, we open the door to learning and development. She also discusses the importance of persistence. In a fixed mindset, effort is often seen as something to avoid, a sign that you're not naturally good at something. But in a growth mindset, effort is the path to mastery. Dweck advises that we need to embrace the hard work that comes with learning new things. Whether it's practicing a skill, studying for a test, or trying to improve a relationship, sustained effort is what leads to success. This shift in perspective, from seeing effort as a weakness to seeing it as a strength, is a cornerstone of the growth mindset. One powerful story that Dweck shares in this chapter is about a college student who struggled with math for most of his life. He had always believed that he was just bad at math and that no amount of studying would change that. In his freshman year of college, he failed his first math exam and immediately felt defeated. The fixed mindset voice in his head said, "See, you're not cut out for this. Just drop the class before you embarrass yourself further." But instead of giving in to that voice, the student decided to take a different approach. He spoke with his professor, who encouraged him to try a new study strategy, and he began putting in extra time and effort. Slowly but surely, he started to improve. By the end of the semester, he had passed the class, not with flying colors, but with a grade that reflected his hard work and growth. More importantly, he had developed a growth mindset about his abilities. He realized that his struggles with math weren't a sign of failure, but an opportunity to improve. This story illustrates the power of persistence and effort. Even in areas where we believe we're not naturally talented, we can make significant progress if we're willing to put in the work and adopt a growth mindset. Dweck encourages us to reflect on areas in our own lives where we've been avoiding challenges or giving up too easily. What might happen if we approach these situations with a growth mindset instead? Another crucial aspect of changing your mindset is learning to value feedback. In a fixed mindset, feedback is often seen as a personal attack. If you believe that your abilities are fixed, then criticism feels like a reflection of your inherent worth. But in a growth mindset, feedback is invaluable. It's a tool for learning, a way to identify areas for improvement. Dweck advises that we should actively seek out feedback, even when it's uncomfortable, and use it to guide our growth. She shares the example of a manager who struggled with receiving feedback from her team. At first, she was defensive, interpreting every suggestion as a critique of her leadership skills. But once she started to adopt a growth mindset, she realized that the feedback was a gift, an opportunity to become a better leader. She began asking her team for regular feedback and used their suggestions to improve her management style. Over time, her team's performance improved as well, and the manager's ability to lead effectively grew alongside it. Dweck also addresses the importance of resilience in changing your mindset. Shifting from a fixed to a growth mindset doesn't happen overnight, and there will be setbacks along the way. There may be times when the fixed mindset voice seems louder than ever, convincing you that you're not capable or that your efforts are in vain. But Dweck reminds us that resilience, the ability to bounce back from setbacks, is a key component of the growth mindset. Every time you face a challenge or a failure, you have the opportunity to choose how you'll respond. Will you give up and confirm the fixed mindset's doubts, or will you use the experience to learn and grow? Changing your mindset is also about changing the way you define success. In a fixed mindset, success is about proving your worth, showing that you're smart, talented, or capable. But in a growth mindset, success is about the process of improvement. It's about taking on challenges, learning from mistakes, and continually pushing yourself to grow. Dweck encourages us to redefine success in this way, focusing less on outcomes and more on the journey of learning. She also suggests surrounding yourself with people who have a growth mindset. Just as the fixed mindset can be contagious, so can the growth mindset. When you spend time with people who embrace challenges, value effort, and see failure as a learning opportunity, it becomes easier to adopt these attitudes yourself. Whether it's friends, colleagues, or mentors, the The people you choose to spend time with can either reinforce a fixed mindset or inspire you to embrace growth. In the closing pages of the book, Dweck reminds us that the journey toward a growth mindset is ongoing. There will always be new challenges, new opportunities to learn, and new chances to grow. The key is to stay open, curious, and committed to the process of learning. The growth mindset isn't just a tool for success, it's a way of living, a philosophy that allows us to continually evolve and improve in every area of our lives. The final message of mindset is one of hope and possibility. No matter where you are in your journey, no matter how long you've lived with a fixed mindset, you have the power to change. With awareness, effort, and persistence, you can develop a growth mindset and unlock the potential that's been waiting inside you all along.